In the news this week, youth illiteracy crisis worsens as mainstream education fails to accommodate those in need.
Plus, never too old for politics. Former federal MP Alana McTiernan to stand for State Labor Party again.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Lung and Daniel Staniskov.
Good evening. There are calls to address youth illiteracy issues after reports suggest that mainstream education system failed to help disadvantaged youths. Youngsters who struggle to catch up in schools often end up in a vicious cycle of bullying and crime. Helene Fong begins our coverage.
Perth may have just been ranked the 7th best city to live in the world after considering factors including education. But that doesn't mean the system's perfect.
I felt like dumb at the time because I thought that I didn't know anything.
Kai is one such student that the system has let down. He has already struggled with a stutter since early childhood, and after being absent from school for a long time due to factors outside of his control, he's fallen very behind.
Yeah, so I was going through heats at home, and it does start playing on my mind. When I go to school, then I don't go to school and that.
Why?
Because I was going through domestic violence, and my dad was really violent. I was just scared to come home and find my mum really hurt or dead.
There was insufficient support from teachers within the mainstream education system to support young people like Kai, and as a result, illiteracy continues to be a real issue. He's now catching up through police and community youth centres' certified Stepping Stone project.
I think some of them are experts at being missed, so they'll sit quietly and not bring the teacher's attention to the fact that they're struggling. The other thing is, if they're struggling and they've asked for help and the teacher hasn't got the time.
Meanwhile, WA Education Minister Peter Collier also just announced additional online resources to help students with disabilities and special needs.
We have by far the highest ratio of education assistance to students than any other state. No one comes close to us.
Helene Fong, WAMN News.
In other news, well, she's back. Alana McTiernan returns to state politics after she quit as a federal Labor MP. Despite being labelled as a dinosaur by the Liberals, the opposition leader firmly believes Alana's capabilities will make Labor more electable.
She retired from federal politics in February, but now Alana McTiernan's back for WA Labor.
Mark has approached me in the last 48 hours and asked would I be interested. I made it very clear to him that my interest in politics has not subsided one bit.
The former federal member for Perth gathering support this week with Labor leader Mark McGowan after getting his nod.
I think I've got something to give here, and so really it's very much this is going to be an enormous team effort.
It comes after Transport spokesman Ken Travers' sudden resignation from WA Parliament. The state government has criticised Ms McTiernan's comeback, but Mr McGowan says they're terrified of her return ahead of next year's state election.
I think, well, Alana would eat those Liberal people for breakfast with her policy capacity, her knowledge, her ability, her enthusiasm.
Experts say she won't be a token member for Labor.
I don't see it so much as a captain's pick. I think that she offers real experience. She offers someone who can contribute quite a lot to the Labor team.
Alana McTiernan says she's not the Labor Party's saviour, but she's confident she has the party's full support ahead of next year's state election. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
The asbestos roof panels at the new children's hospital will be removed after an independent company has been appointed to fix the issue. The company's appointment is neutrally agreed by the unions and construction company John Holland. The Health Minister said the replacement process will be completed in the next couple of weeks.
Safest and best way of remediating the situation is to open up the roof panels and to lift out the fibre board which contains asbestos, and then for those boards to be replaced with new non-asbestos containing material.
Hundreds of Vietnam veterans and family members gathered in North Beach this week to pay tribute to soldiers who were killed or injured during the Battle of Long Tan. The battle in 1966 has left 18 Australian soldiers killed and 24 wounded as they fought against thousands of Viet Cong troops. Veteran Affairs Minister Joe Francis and WA Governor Kerry Sanderson also attended the service.
There's a lot of families that still bear wounds from the Vietnam conflict, and it's very important that we recognise the sacrifices that those people make.
There's another major shift in Donald Trump's campaign team as Hillary Clinton appears to be sliding towards election victory. Mr. Trump is currently behind Hillary Clinton in major polls. The shakeup comes after US media alleges that Paul Manafort is involved with the Ukraine corruption scandal. It's reported that a list of influential Republicans announced they will not vote for Mr. Trump. But the billionaire remains confident that he will win despite the tide is turning against him.
There's more confusion towards the investigation into the Thailand bombings after the military confirmed suspects arrested earlier are not connected to the case. The Major General stated to reporters that there is no evidence to link those suspects into the bomb attacks. However, the military now alleges that the suspects aged between 60 and 70 years old are plotting to overthrow the regime by setting up an illegal political party. There are currently no arrests or charges laid for the people who are directly responsible for the attack.
And finally this week, a former SAS Vietnam veteran who lost his left leg during a parachute incident is completing a 6-month bike ride to raise awareness for veterans who are suffering from PTSD. The funds raised from Truck Sam's 10,000-kilometre Hanoi to Sydney bike ride will be donated to 3 PTSD-related charities, including the RSL WA.
One of my legacies is I suffer from post-trauma stress disorder, and I see in our own community now these young war veterans coming back to Australia after serving in places like Afghanistan and suffering as I did after the war in Vietnam, and it motivated me to do the ride for 10,000 kilometres.
And those are the top stories you need to know this week.
We have the latest news on our website and Facebook. Western Perspective will be back soon. Have a good evening.
Good night.